Hey, welcome back everybody. And now we're ready to go ahead here and start making the connections that we need for our NURBS control curves to manipulate our rig. So what we're going to go ahead and do is I'm just going to open up my outliner here. And this is where you guys should be at now. And as long as you follow along, you should be fine. And we'll just start off here with the basic connections. And so let's go ahead and get started here. Let's take our side control fin. Now what I want to do is I want to make sure that this NURB controller actually gets locked to the rig. Okay, and to do that, what we want to do is make sure that we come over here, double click our CC left side fin. I'm going to hit Control C to copy that name. I'm going to go ahead and deselect, reselect, hit Control G to group that controller. I'm going to freeze the transformation, center the pivots, and clear the history. Okay. Then I'm going to go ahead and paste the name for the group. But instead of having the CC left side fin be a double name, I'm going to hit space and hit GRP. This way I know that this is being grouped. Okay, and to do that, and since we've gone ahead and done that, we'll just reselect the controller. I'm not selecting the group. I'm selecting the actual controller. I'll select the joint, hit constraint orient, and then I'll select the joint. Make sure that we come up here to our point constraint, and I'm going to go ahead here and turn the maintain offset on. I'll control click the group for this controller, and I'll constraint point. This way that whenever this joint moves, the controller is actually going to move as well. But we also have the ability here to rotate our fin, and that's going to allow us to have that control be locked to the joint. So whenever that joint moves and whenever we manipulate the rig, all of that's going to move together. So we're going to do the same thing and repeat the process here for all of these, for, well, not all of them, a lot of them. So we'll select the controller, double click the name, hit Control C, reselect the controller, hit Control G to group it, freeze the transformation, center the pivot, clear the history, rename it, and we're going to call it a group so I know it's the group. Select the controller, select the joint, constraint orient, and if you guys want to take a look at the settings here for those, I do believe these are the defaults except for, you know, the maintain offset. And then we'll select the joint, select the controller, constraint point, making sure that we do have that maintain offset checked on and it's maintaining the offset in all the constrained axes. Hit apply. Okay. So there you can see where that's going to be moving. Okay. We're going to do the same thing here for the right side. So select the controller, double click, Control C to copy the name, reselect it. Oops. Hit Control G to group it. Paste the name, hit GRP, just, you know, type GRP in there so we get the group. Freeze the transformation, center the pivot, and clear the history. Select the controller, select the joint, constraint orient, select the joint, select the controller group, constraint point. Just make sure that it all works properly each time that you do it. That way we have, you know, no constraint axes here, or no channels that are actually in the channel box here that actually have a constraint on them. So whenever we go to key it, it's going to be easier and not really give us any issues. Do the same thing here for the right side. Copy that name, reselect the controller, group it, center the pivot, freeze the transformations, and clear the history. Rename it for our group. Select the controller, select the joint, constraint orient, and then we'll select the joint, select the group, constraint point. Okay, now that's set up. We have those four set up. What I want to go ahead and do now is put these in a manual control group. So with nothing selected here, I'm going to hit Control G to create a null group, and we'll rename this the CC Clownfish Main Body CTRL. So I know that this is the manual body control, and we should probably put group there. Okay, and we will just go ahead here and select all four of these. Just middle mouse drag over the CC Clownfish manual body control group. We'll put those in there. This is going to come into play because what we're going to do is we're going to throw this group and parent that group to the overall global control here in a couple of minutes. Okay, let's go ahead here and do the same thing for the tail controls. So CC tail rotate 1, we'll go ahead and copy that name. We'll group it, paste the name, GRP. We will center the pivot, clear the history, and freeze the transformations. Select the controller, select the joint, constraint orient, select the joint, select the group, constraint point. Let's make sure that all this works. Do the same thing here for the rotate tail 2. Go ahead and copy that name, deselect, we'll reselect, we'll group it, freeze the transformation, center the pivot, and clear the history. Paste it, GRP, select the controller, select the joint, constraint orient, select the joint, select the group, constraint parent point. We'll go ahead and grab those, throw that into the manual body controls. Just check to make sure that that works. Okay, so now that that's set up, what we can go ahead and do here is select our master controller, and we're going to go ahead here and add an attribute for that. So modify, add attribute. We're going to make this an enumerated value, and I'm just simply going to call this the CC underscore Clownfish man body. Oh, we should probably shorten up that name a little bit, so we'll call this the CC Clown man man body CTRLS underscore viz. We'll change the green here to shown. Change the blue here to hidden, and we'll go ahead and hit OK, so you can see where that attribute gets added in the channel box. Okay, we're going to take and select the manual bodies control group. I'm going to shift select the master control, going to hit P so that it gets parented. So now they're going to be moving here. Okay, we're also going to select the JT main group, which is the joints, and I'm going to shift select the body master control. I'm going to hit P, so now our mesh is going to move, as well as all those joints and as well as the NURBS curves. Okay, so let's go ahead here and set up our eye constraints. Okay, so we're going to select our CC left eye, and I think I actually want to scale these eye controls up just a little bit, not too bad. Before we do anything, I'll go ahead and just move this over a little bit, this one here as well, and just make sure we freeze the transformations and center the pivots on those as well before we actually make the connections here. So we'll select our left eye control, select our left eye, constraint aim. Okay, do the same thing here for the right eye, and just hit G. Okay, we will go ahead here and select the right eye control, the left eye control, shift select the eye master control, hit P so that that gets parented. Let's go ahead and move it so we know that those are moving right. And those seem to be moving the way that we want them to. Okay, we're going to select our eye main control. We're going to go ahead and copy that name, deselect, and then we'll reselect. Control G to group it. Freeze the transformations and center the pivots on that group. We're going to go ahead and rename it eye main GRP. Okay, and now we're going to set up a constraint here from the joint that's at the tip of the head to the eye main group, not the control, we want the group. Okay, so we'll go constraint parent. So now it's going to be locked. And if we go ahead and rotate our head, you can see where that eye control is locked there. Okay, and I want to add an eye lock control on this, so we can just simply turn that off and turn it on. So we'll come up here to modify, add attribute. We'll make this an enumerated value. We'll call this the clownfish eye lock. Okay, we're going to change the green here to lock, and we'll change the blue here to free. Go ahead and hit add, and we'll add that connection. And we're going to go ahead and set this up with the connection editor. So what I want to do is come up here to Window, General Editors, Connection Editor, and we'll come over here and we will select the eye controller, not the group. We're going to reload this in the left. Okay, so you can see our eye lock control comes in. And then we'll just expand the group, select that parent constraint. We're going to reload that in the right, and we're going to take the clownfish eye lock, and we're going to connect it to the JT or the joint 9W0, which is the weight for the parent constraint. Okay, so let's take a look here. This is locked, and whenever I rotate this joint, you're going to see where this is actually going to be. It should be unlocked. Okay, and that's fine. What that means is the parent constraint has been turned off, so we just need to modify this attribute. And to do that, we can just come up here to modify, edit attribute, eye lock. So the the locked control actually has to get renamed. This same with the free. So we'll call this the free animation, just so that we know that that is going to be the free one, and then we can just rename the free here to the locked. Okay, so now whenever we rotate our joint, we know that that is the free animation. Go ahead and just rotate that back. Go ahead and take the free animation, change it to the locked, and let's just see if that works. Okay, so that works, and we will shut that group, and then we'll take the group and we will shift select the master control. We'll hit P to parent it. So now the eyes control is going to move with the master group. We also here need to set up our head rotation control. So we'll select our head rotation control, copy the name, deselect. We will go ahead and reselect. We'll go ahead and group it, freeze the transformation, center the pivot, and clear the history there. Go ahead and copy that name and add the GRP indication so that we know that it's the group. We will select the controller, select the joint for the head. We'll go ahead constraint orient. So now when we rotate this, the head's moving, which is what we want. And then we'll select the joint, select the group, constraint point. So now whenever we move the joint, that controller is moving as well. Okay, and then we'll take the head rotate group, shift select the global master controller, hit P to parent it. So now everything is moving the way that we want, except for our spline controls. And we're going to go ahead here and set those up real quick. Go ahead and turn off my clownfish module geometry. And I'm going to hit Control G to create a null group, or another null group. And I'm going to rename this the clusters main. I'm going to go ahead and actually throw the clownfish indication in there as well. We will freeze the transformation, center the pivot, and clear the history on that as well. Okay, and we're not touching this group yet, because we need to make the connections here for our spline control. So we'll just come over here to our shelf and select our animation tab, and we will select our spline IK handle, which is indicated by this little red rope. So we'll select this and we will draw out our spline IK system. Let me go ahead and just turn it back on my controller there so I know exactly where I need to make the connection from. Okay. So if I go ahead and turn off my joints here, turn off my IK handles, you can see that we get this little curve, and this is what we're going to be adding our clusters to manipulate our spine. And there are a couple ways that we can do this. We can always, right click, control vertice, select each and every individual vertice here, and then come up, create deformers cluster. But I don't want to do that. I'm just going to try to save myself some steps here. So I'll select the curve, hit F4 on my keyboard, edit curves, come all the way down here to the bottom, cluster curve, and then it creates a cluster at every vertex that's on that curve. Okay, go ahead and turn back on my joints, turn back on my IK handles, turn back on my mesh, and let's take a look and see what happens here. So we'll select one of the clusters, and you can see where that starts getting manipulated pretty well, and it's actually looking and doing what I expect it to do. Okay, so now what we can do is come in here and line these control curves up a little bit better, and we're only going to be manipulating the middle ones here. So we'll just go ahead and just move these up a little bit better, and just try to line these up just a little bit better here. And like I said, you can always take this second one and duplicate it so that you get that man body 3, so that you can manipulate this last one. I'll do that for you guys. I'll actually create that third connection. Usually I don't. Usually I'll only use 2 controllers to manipulate the spine, but in this case I'll go ahead and make a third one for you guys. Okay, so we'll go ahead and select the IK handle all the way down to the cluster 4, and I'm going to throw those into the cluster's main clownfish. Should probably rename this the actual group too, because we're going to be turning this off so that no animators will actually be able to see this. We're just going to make sure that we have the manual body controls here. Okay, so let's go ahead and make our connections. We'll go ahead and turn our fish mesh off, select our joints, turn our IK handles off there. We'll take our man body control 3. I'm just going to throw it up here a little bit. Okay, we'll select it, select the cluster, hit F2 on our keyboards to get back into our animation module, constraint parent. Do the same thing here for the second one, just repeating that G command. And for that one, okay, let's just see if this manipulates right. Okay, so that's all being manipulated correctly. Let's go ahead and turn back on our IK handles, our joints. We'll go ahead and turn back on our mesh. Okay, we're going to take these 3 body controls and we're going to take a look for our master controls. Okay, and we just need to make sure that we throw this into the main body control group. Okay, so all those are on now. We're going to take these clusters main clownfish. We're also going to throw these into the manual body control group, but before I do that, I want to make sure I turn the visibility for those off so those get eliminated from the scene. And you can see where it's indicated by the templated version or the templated name here in the outline or in the outliner. Go ahead and throw those into the clownfish manual body control group. Okay, and right now we're good with the actual control of the rig here, but we still need to make a lot of connections, which include rigging the face, and we need to make sure that we connect our manual body control visibility here. So before I go ahead and end this lesson, I'm going to jump again into the connection editor. So Windows, General Editor, Connection Editor. We will go ahead here and select the master control, reload that in the left, and we will expand our clownfish main master group here in the outliner. Select our clownfish manual body control group, reload that in the right. Scroll down here. We're going to take the CC Clown manual body control visibility and connect it to the visibility of that CC Clownfish manual body control group. So there you see they get turned off, which is the right thing to do here. We'll need to edit the name, and to do that we'll just come up here to modify, edit attribute, select our CC Clownfish manual body control viz. The shown here is obviously the hidden, so we'll just rename this to hide, and we'll rename the hidden to shown. Hit close, and there you can see where our name gets updated here, and all that works. Okay, so that'll be it for this lesson. Then in the next lesson we will go ahead and come back and start with some texture work. So come on back, everybody.